Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in about a minute or so, and then we'll get this chat going. I just heard from somebody else that I had invited to this Instagram Live, and she literally just responded to me because she was busy with a big event. She might pop on. I'm not going to ruin the surprise just in case she can't make it, but it would be great if she could. Anyway, let's see. Kelly is unable to join. Why? Hang on. Let's see, Kelly, what's going on here. I'm going to invite you again. We've done this, Kelly. We've done this before, so you should be able to join. But let's make sure you can. Aha!
Hi!
Hi, darling.
How are you?
Oh my God, I'm so good. It's been a while since I've seen your face, so it's so good to see you.
It's so great to see you too. I love your hair.
I know. Look, and you too. So this is why we're here today.
It's growing out so much. I love it even more.
No, you know what's funny? So this is about almost 2 years. Right? Wait, I'm trying to like straighten my damn camera out. So hang on one second. So this is almost 2 years, right? So look how long it is, right?
Yeah.
So the little bit of the end, like 2 inches, that's the old hair. Everything else is the new regrowth, au natural.
It looks even better now that it's grown out. You know, where it's like more grays and it's silvery.
Yeah, it's streaky, which surprised me because I have to say, now we'll obviously get to why we're doing this whole IG Live, but I thought when I was growing out the gray hair, I thought I was going to be all white. You know, because see are the roots when it's when the roots are coming out, I'm like, man, it's going to be all white. Then when it started growing out, I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's like streaky. It's like highlighty.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I love all white hair though. I can't wait till my hair goes all white.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, all these people are joining. Let's give them a little bit of time. It's great to see everyone. Hi from Texas and South Carolina and all these folks. So the reason why I decided to do this IG Live, and you're the first person I thought of course, is because of what's going on, right? With this story of the CTV anchor, a news anchor in Canada. Her name is Lisa LaFlamme, and she's been an anchor and journalist for 35 years with this network. Okay, so she's legendary, award-winning, incredible journalist. Well, she had 2 more years left on her contract just recently, but unceremoniously, all of a sudden, she was let go without really any explanation. And really the suspicion is that because she decided to go gray during COVID, like so many of us, right? You and I definitely decided to go gray during COVID.
Right.
They let her go. Now that's the rumor. It's not completely proven, but that is definitely the only thing that people where they can connect the dots. And even Lisa is saying that too.
My question is though, why would it have taken so long? Because clearly she's been growing it out since COVID. So it's been a long time.
It's been a while. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good question. You know what? I think of that, actually, that aspect. So I wonder if they were just kind of saying, okay, we'll let it go for the time being because it's COVID, but eventually she'll go back. Right.
Right.
During COVID, you talk about your experience. During COVID, none of us could go get our hair colored even if we wanted to because the salons were closed and nobody was working.
But during COVID, I went pink.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. But did you yourself? What did you do?
Yeah. Well, one of my dear friends is a hairdresser, and she was completely shut down. She was completely out of work, and she was in my bubble. And we decided this was the perfect time because nobody was shooting and everybody was, like waiting to get back to production. And I have always wanted, I love color in my hair. I've had pink and purple, and I really want to do blue. I mean, it's so fun. It's a little difficult for my work to have crazy hair, but if it wasn't for, me trying to look like a normal person on camera, because I'm not a normal person inside. Inside, my hair is pink. Like, if it wasn't for having to be normal, I would have pink hair.
Yeah.
But this is as crazy as I can get on camera now, and still be workable.
I totally remember the pink hair, and I loved it. And you know what? You're right. You are totally pink inside and kind of outside. But because of work, clearly, you can't like do that because of work. But there's temporary color, and then whatever job you have in acting, they'll color it anyway, right? Or give you a wig or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, wigs are ugh, I hate wearing wigs. They're so uncomfortable and hot, and I kudos to the women who wear wigs all the time. I mean, I don't know how they do it. But yeah, it is an option because I only have to do it temporarily while I'm shooting. And luckily, I just finished shooting last month on a show called BMF, Black Mafia Family. And when I got the job, the first thing I asked them was, I said, "Are you going to make me color my hair?" And they didn't. They didn't. They let me have my gray hair. My character is in her 40s, and women go gray in their 40s. Women go gray at any age. Women go gray in their 20s, in their 30s, 40s. It really doesn't mean you're old.
No,
it just means you're gray.
Kelly, I started getting my first gray hairs when I was 12.
I remember finding little, gray hairs all the time when I was young.
So imagine how long I've been sort of dealing with the coloring of my hair, especially, again, because I've been in news for so long and television for so long that I had to color my hair.
When did you start coloring?
Well, kind of 16, 17.
Wait, you started coloring your hair as a teenager?
Yeah, you know why? Because, so I know, like, if I could do things over again, obviously, it's just like I'm older and wiser, I would go back and be like, that's bullshit. But back then I had shorter hair because it was the 80s, right? So I had that kind of punky hair, and a lot of my gray was in the back of my head.
Oh, but that's so cool.
I know. Of course, I think now it's like, oh, that was totally cool, right? But back then, as a 16, 17-year-old, it was not cool. So I started coloring the back of my hair, and then it started coming out here. Then when I got on television, early 20s, I had to start really, coloring and covering up.
Right.
That's decades of coloring. That is decades of me dealing with my hair.
Can you imagine how much money, time, chemicals, all of that and spent?
And here's why I want to have this discussion on a serious note, is that, this is societal pressure, right? Society long defined that going gray and showing your natural gray was a bad thing, right?
Right.
It by age, and that you were finished and you were over the hill, and it wasn't beautiful. So
especially for women.
Exactly. Men can be gray. Oh, salt and pepper. Ooh, how dignified. They look hot.
Right, silver fox.
Of course, but women, we couldn't do it, especially in media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we define gray and gray hair as bad. It just, that's programmed. We're just programmed to think that way, right? So therefore, that won't, unless we deprogram and sort of like reprogram ourselves, it's never going to change, right?
Right.
So that's where I feel like, wow, I'm so glad now this is being talked about. And because of what happened to Lisa LaFlamme, unfortunately she's the victim, but at the same time, it's kind of fantastic that people are jumping on this, right? I
think this is one of the great things that has come out of the pandemic. There are quite a few when you think about it, a lot of environmentalism and just people helping one another and just a lot of awareness, right? Yeah. And this is one of the great things. It allowed women to like stay home, and, you know, do their own thing. And it allowed us to sort of forgive so much more, right? No, people were not expected to be absolutely perfect. You know,
Right.
people were walking around, you know, at home in their what do you call jumpers, jogging pants,
Yeah.
and you know, kids yelling in the background, and we were just like, oh well, it's the pandemic, this is what we're going through, you know. It's We were so much more forgiving, and I think that has allowed us, some of us, to be able to sort of carry that on, right? I know so many women who started growing their hair out during the pandemic, because
And
they just, not just because they couldn't go to a salon, but
right.
because they were just relaxing at home, and
Right.
they were just tired of it. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it was really freeing. I loved growing. I actually started growing my hair out even before the pandemic. You know,
Okay.
I had gray hairs, and that, I think, was sort of the catalyst for me going pink and stuff, was because I was having some issues with my gray hair, just wanting to grow it out. And I was like, well, what if we just like bleach out all this stuff and
Yeah.
sort of like accentuate it? And then once we did that, I was like, what if we put some pink in there? I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. So for me, I did the same thing, and not with pink. I did. So I sat in a, oh God, okay, never again. Right. The liberation that you feel after you do this, you know, and you go natural, is unbelievable. And for those of you who are thinking about it out there, who are listening, it is freeing. It really, it's like you're out of prison, hair prison.
right?
So I sat in a salon chair for 8 hours. She gave me something called micro highlights. So she lightened all of my hair, right?
Wow.
And the gray started growing out. It would sort of blend a little bit. Now, granted, there was still a difference, but I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to stick with it and just let it go, right?
Right.
And it
Well,
kind
it looked like ombre. It was
yeah,
like a silver and gold ombre.
it totally looked ombre.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, granted, and I will, full disclosure, there were a couple times where I was just like, I can't do this. I'm going back. I'm going back. And I was going to like just go back to coloring. My boyfriend, thankfully, was like, just hang on. Just hang. It's going to look great.
Oh,
Be patient. He had to talk me off the ledge a couple of times.
I love him.
I know. Thankfully, he was right. And now to this day, he's like, you see, I was right, But it's true. It was the painful part. And again, we're going to be very, very honest here. There is a painful part of the grow out, right?
Mm.
It's going to be a little bit not so attractive, but it's totally worth it. It's
Yeah,
so,
I was doing all that like temporary until it got to a stage where it was sort of cool looking. You know,
yeah,
it took a while, but then
yeah,
you're like doing all this temporary color with this like this stuff that looks like a mascara, right, on your hair.
right.
And mostly just in the front, because I really didn't care what it looked like in the back, and I'm graying mostly in the front anyway.
But it
But
looks
it was,
so
you know, after
that.
I would go and get my hair colored, you could see the white popping up because it was such a high contrast, right? You
Yeah.
could see the white popping up like literally the next day. If I looked closely, I could see it coming out already, like little speckles of salt. And so I would have to start like coloring it. But then you're like worried if it rains, if I sweat, if, you know, you hold the phone up to your face, are you going to have black on your ear or the side of your face? I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much to have to worry about.
No, exactly. The stress and the time that we spend as women on stuff like this is stupid. It really is.
Right?
Not the money, as we mentioned. But I mean, Lisa LaFlamme, she was saying that during COVID, she was doing her own roots because that's what she had to do. And then she was using, and I was like, oh, yes, I have those too. These
Oh,
roots,
of course. I have tons of it still.
right? It's like hairspray for your roots, right? This is what
But then it gets everywhere.
it gets.
It gets,
So
yeah.
people out there who are listening, I'm sure they're like, what the fuck is that? It's like hair. So you find the right color and you spray your roots. But it's chalky, And if you touch it, it gets
It's
on
all of your hands.
If you wear a hat, like I used to run, and so when I would take the hat off, all this shit was on the hat.
Or running down your face.
Oh, well, I mean, Juliana, perfect example. Remember when he sweated his like hair dye,
Yes.
temporary hair dye?
Just let it go, Juliana. You don't even have that much hair anyway. Like, what are you trying to prove?
Yeah, that. So these are the things that we would have to put ourselves through. And why? Because the fear of being seen as old, over the hill, unattractive. I get that a lot from people who are so afraid. They're like, you're so brave. You're so
right.
No, I'm not brave for what? Like letting nature take its course, you know?
Right?
So
I
we have
remember
narrative too.
Right. No, I remember my hairdresser after it had grown out like maybe like a couple of inches, you know, sitting in her chair, and she was like, "I am so proud of you." I'm like, for what? Being lazy? Like
Exactly.
being lazy, being cheap, being practical.
I mean, I'll admit it. It's because I'm lazy, and yeah, I'm kind of cheap too. I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on my hair every time I go, you know?
Right?
But let's get to that core of why, you know, women especially, you know, I know it's society, but women ourselves, we impose this on ourselves and each other, right? Like girlfriends of mine who all color their hair, right? And this is also an Asian thing, and I want to talk about that with you a little bit. I think Asians are definitely very obsessed with like having the darker hair and staying that way, right? Because I see even women my mother's age, 85, who are still dyeing their hair jet black.
My mother too.
Oh, your mom too?
Same thing. Yes.
Okay, so it definitely is sort of taboo within the Asian culture for sure.
I know. We both got more white hair than our mothers.
No, you know what? Guess what? My mom, she decided to go gray too.
Yes.
Has hair like, she has a pixie cut, but hers is salt and pepper too. She looks amazing.
That's so great.
Yeah,
I know. I actually had this discussion with my mom recently when I went to go visit her a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, I just can't. Because she comes from that era of like glam and, you know, red lipstick and, you know.
Trying to stay more youthful, right?
Oh,
so.
Sorry, you froze up for a little bit there.
Oh, I said trying to stay more youthful. It's like that obsession with sort of youth, you know, and you know, all of that. So yeah, so I try to tell my friends, and I don't know if you've had these conversations, it's like, just do it. I mean, you know, what are you afraid of, right? And I think it really is that they're afraid they're going to look old and unattractive. I
think the biggest prison that so many of us, I mean, there are very, very few people who are free of this. The biggest prison that we live in is how we are so afraid of what other people are going to think of us. I think once you let go of that, what other people think of you, then you can free yourself of so many burdens, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I always say, like, I wish I could tell my younger self that, you know, please stop worrying so much about what other people think, you know. But I know
absolutely
generational thing, you know, once you hit 40, you start realizing that. And then once you get into your 50s, you don't give a shit at all.
Okay, so stop giving a shit.
Oh my God. I mean, and talk about liberation. That is liberating. You really it. But it takes that much. But I wish that the younger, especially younger women, would adopt that, embrace that in their younger, you know, age, so that they can live more freely.
Is it because we're at this age where we're not trying to look for a husband or a boyfriend or be attractive to the opposite sex or same sex? You know, it's like we just don't care. I'm not trying to have sex. I'm at the age where I'm trying not to have sex.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, it's not all about sex, and it's not all about the shallow beauty and the exterior. It's now, I think we start looking inward and trying to like become more self-aware and free. Wait, oh God, wait, hang on. Guess who's trying to join?
Is it our girl?
It's our girl, but hang on. I got to try to invite her. And what is her?
I don't know how to do this.
You know what her? I thought I was friends with her on Instagram, and I don't know why I can't find her.
Oh.
I know. Shoot. Hang on.
But if she asks to join, can't she just join?
Unless she's also not friends with me. No, I know I'm friends with her.
Okay.
Shoot.
Because you're friends with everybody.
But yeah, keep talking and I'm gonna find her.
Okay. I think one of the most disturbing things about when I first started to go gray was when I would post photos or videos on like Instagram, because that's pretty much the only thing I do now. I would get a lot of comments from what I'm guessing are people who don't live in the United States, only because of the way the sentences were formed, or people who don't speak English as a first language. They would literally tell me that they didn't like my gray hair. Hi!
Ah!
Tamlyn!
Okay, I have to figure out how to do this technology because I just got my hair cut.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. How beautiful. Hi, beautifuls.
So Tamlyn, I wanted to join this conversation, but she was very, very busy with Nisei Week here in LA.
Yeah.
So she literally texted me 2 minutes before 3.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
I
I was so bad at getting back to you, and you were so patient, and it was like, I can. Yeah.
Awesome. So here we are, the 3 boxes, Asian Silver Box, talking about this very important issue. So
Yeah.
I've been, talking about the Lisa LaFlamme story and aging and why women especially feel like they can't go natural and be themselves and embrace aging because it's such a bad thing. I mean, tell us why you decided to go.
Because I'm a mofo, lazy little.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, because I'm just freaking lazy. And it was like, my husband loves me no matter how I look. He constantly says, baby, you don't need to wear makeup. You don't need to put, you don't need to color your hair. You don't need to put clothes on. I love you the way you are. And he always has made me feel so beautiful inside and out. And that always gives me confidence too. But I'm really super lazy. And the fact that I saw, so many women just go gray. And during the election in 2020, I just, rinsed it blue for Democrats. And then I saw Kelly, rinse her hair bright pink fuchsia. And I go, I love that. And, there was just so many women who decided to do that. It's an empowering. And we can always color our hair back if work requires it, or if we feel like, I love it. I love silver. But if Emma Stone could go red, blonde, brunette, every color of the rainbow, we can go silver, gray, white, back to black, back to black, brown. So it's just a matter of choice, and it's a matter of empowerment for any of us, right?
I agree, because this doesn't mean that we have to stay this way either.
Absolutely.
This just it's a choice, like you're saying. Like if I wanted to have pink hair again, I may never work again. But if I wanted to have pink hair again, it would be my choice.
Yeah, you're always gonna work, girl. You're always gonna work.
Wait, let me ask you though, Tamlyn, just a quick question about your work. Have you found that you are working less or more with the gray hair?
For me, it really isn't a matter of volume, because I think people know that I'm mother's ages. So I think it's been a natural transition. I mean, I don't think we're going to be, hello, my love. There's that idea that I'm mothers. I play mothers now. So I'm not going to be the ingenue to fall in love. Both you and I could still kick ass. And that has nothing to do with the color of our hair.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the natural transition of both our lives and both our where we are at our career. You're younger than me, and so to be able to, you know, transition gracefully is an honor, and it's a privilege to be able to continue to work and not. It's because it's not just about this with
Yeah.
me and
Right.
Kelly. And with all our sisters who happen to be, you know, to choose to go, you know, gray, it's like, it's the matter of heart and spirit and soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said.
No,
Yeah.
I love that. Unfortunately, in my business, news, you
Yeah.
do one single female anchor or correspondent with gray hair.
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Why?
True. Yeah.
Think
Is
about
it because they're suddenly less trustworthy?
Yeah, but you see a bunch of older guys with gray hair and overweight and all still, you know, on the news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a really backwards, you know, kind of tradition that still exists in television.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is because if I were still on traditional network television, right? If I were still at CNN or ABC and, you know, any of the networks, I don't think I would do this. So LaFlamme was let go. I don't think network executives, mostly men, would have approved of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is what we fall into, which is this hierarchy, and at the top it's still pretty male, making
Right.
decisions, right? And still following these traditional guidelines of what a woman should look like versus what a man should look like or
Yeah.
can.
Right.
Right. So that's where I'm like, oh man, you know, we got to break this whole fucking, you know, like idea of this box that women are supposed to be in. And especially, I think Kelly and I were talking about this before you joined, Tamlyn. With Asian women, I think we're put even into a more narrow box, right?
Yeah.
Of being youthful and exotic, the, you know, the black hair and the white skin and
The
all
white skin, right?
Yeah.
And the bright eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where I'm like, I want to have these conversations because it's like, you know, unless we talk, people aren't even going to be aware of. People don't even know that they're a baby program to think this way.
It's so true. I think it's a male dominated. I think traditional news broadcasts are so much more dependent on that white cis male structure, much more so than film and television, because it's much more dependent on board of directors that are really monopolized by corporations, all the, you know, the network news programs. And again, it's traditionally getting out of that box of being white cis male adjacent. You're the accoutrement, you're the accessory, your intelligence,
Ornament.
absolutely. And, you know, rah all the female journalists out there who can carry a show on their own. But it's, you know, it still is difficult to break out into journalism and just by your own professional accomplishments and merits.
Oh yeah, no, you don't see any Asian female or Asian men in the main anchor chairs.
Correct.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
Correct.
Correspondents are all like much younger and more youthful looking. So yes, I would never be asked to come back to a network looking like this. So here's the thing though, this also yesterday, all of a sudden I see this new campaign by Dove.
Oh, I love it. I just posted.
Yes.
Oh, what is it? Fill me in.
Oh, girl, it is about, they're saying keep the gray, hashtag keep the gray. It's in direct response to the Lisa LaFlamme story in Canada, right?
Although they never mention her.
They don't, but they kind of, they're kind of implying, right, that women older women especially, should be included in the workplace and not seen as invisible. And so this campaign, oh my gosh, let me look it up right now. It says, oh, hang on. So basically they're saying everybody should just be proud of the way they look and be natural. And it says, okay, Dove. They say aging is beautiful. We should all be able to do it on our own terms and without any consequences. That's why we're going gray and donating $100,000 to Catalyst, a Canadian nonprofit organization dedicated to helping build inclusive workplaces for all women. Join us by turning your profile picture grayscale and tag Keep the Gray.
Keep the gray. Okay.
So,
Okay, it took me a minute to figure out how to turn my profile picture.
right.
Grayscale. That's maybe where the ageism is.
But
Oh my gosh.
I love that this is gaining some momentum. It's gaining attention, right? Because for so long, women, you know, who have been older have been discarded, civilized, dismissed. And I talk about often as an Asian woman, as Asians, we're already dismissed and invisibilized. And then on top of that, you add age to that.
Right.
Oh, forget it. We're like,
Yeah.
like persona non grata, right?
I think this is true in the workplace and outside. In the home, I think women, as they get older, are more respected.
Asian homes.
In Asian homes, I don't know what it's like to be in another home, but but definitely in the workplace, there is a sort of disrespect, right? Or, you know, women are discarded as they get older because, and maybe that's also biological, right? Because when you are no longer of that childbearing age, you are of no use in, you know, for the species. So maybe that is something that is sort of innate in a way. But that is something that we need to really outgrow and evolve out of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, what's happened is that women over 50 now are really showing that we aren't even close to being done. Right.
No.
Anyway,
we're only halfway there.
I mean, in many ways, I don't know. Let's talk about this, you guys. I feel better than I did in my 30s.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I feel more comfortable, certainly, because clearly I'm going gray and I don't give a shit. So that physically, but also spiritually, mentally, you know, just overall, I just feel so much more at ease with who I am and how I feel and how I'm moving. Right.
I think, you know, I used to have this discussion with older women when I was younger, that they would always tell me about how great it was to be in their 50s, and exactly that, how they're so much more comfortable in their own skin and how they stopped giving a shit about what other people thought. And I never understood it until I got here. I really heard it, but I didn't get it until I hit my 50s. And I was very excited about hitting my 50s. I threw a huge party because I felt like suddenly there was going to be the sky was going to open up, and I was going to like have all of this wisdom, and like, you know, all of these questions about life were going to be answered. And it didn't exactly happen that way, but it kind of did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think you just get to this point where you get it.
Yeah.
Or you get more of it anyway.
Because you're literally in it. I mean, and again, knowing Kelly since we were babies, it's like knowing that we've been hearing all this. You'll know better when you get older. You'll know when you get to my age. And we always appreciated that. I think we always honored that. I can sense that in you too, May. It's like it's that kind of idea that we'll know more when we get there, but we just don't know how much more until we get there. It's just that appreciation that there's so much to gain through experience. There's so much to be shaped and be influenced by through all the ages that, you know, throughout all the decades that we are privileged enough to live through. And it's just also the kind of mortality that we're faced with, that we're cognizant of the limited time that we have left, and we're going to grasp everything that we can, and the blessedness of being pain-free as well. It's like we still have the semblance of the genes that we were blessed with from our forefathers and our foremothers, but also to be able to be responsible for what we're given healthy wise, and to pass along that kind of mentality, that kind of, you know, that kind of legacy that we're given, and just say, I got to do the best that I can, and to pass it on. And it's just the passing on of that kind of knowledge and that spirituality. It's just a basic philosophy that, you know, you'll get to know more, but we also retain that youthful spirit because we know we need to know more. It's the curiosity, it's the childlikeness. So it's that full circle of the wealth of knowledge that we're presently in, and we will continue to be present in until, you know, we're lucky enough to leave this earth.
No, oh my God, everything you just said, amen, sister. But you're
Yes.
No.
as we get older, and this is not
Always.
old and frail, as we mature,
Yeah.
there is a growing appreciation for every day that we have. I
Yep.
say time. I have no idea how much time I have left on this earth, you know, but certainly not going to waste it because, you know, they say youth is wasted on young, right? But experiences that we've had, man, this world is incredible. Yes, there's some darkness here for sure, and you see it all around us, but there's also this limited time where we can experience all of the beauty of what we have around us, the people, right? And then growing old, it should be a privilege, right? We're being blessed by every day of being and being curious, like you said, Tamlyn. I think that's the key. I think curiosity does keep you young.
Yeah. It does not kill the cat. It just enlivens the cat. It's like, wow. It's like, what else can I get out there? Yeah. It's the exciting
I also have to point out, though, that none of us have children. So I think that really helps us
this is true.
maintain this energy and youth. You know, I think, I mean, we're all like mothers of fur babies, right?
Yep.
But I think, you know, when you're a real mom, like, you know, of actual children, I think that it is far more draining. Your time isn't your own. We are so fortunate that we have all this time to ourselves, you know, and have all of this energy.
It literally is giving that energy to the child that we're lucky enough to birth. But
right.
we're able to give it to all the children that we collect in our lives, you know, old, young, fur babies, all included. Yeah.
That's by Dolly Parton, both Dolly Parton and Oprah Winfrey. They both do not have children.
Right.
They both say that, you know, they were put on this earth not to be biological mothers, but mothers in different ways. And proven that, like, I mean, over and over again. I mean, two women who have given so much to the world. And so, but you're right, Kelly, I think because the three of us have not birthed actual children, had to raise children, does change the equation a little bit. But, and having said that, I have some friends who are some hot mamas who are
right, actual MILFs.
Like, I'm just like, how do you look like that, you know, with 3 kids, you know? But again, this is the renaissance of women. I think women are finding their power physically, spiritual, mentally, you know, and not letting everything be taken from them. They're trying to create that balance. And it's hard.
Yeah, they're breaking out of the boxes that already have been assigned to them since birth. And they're just, a lot of them are alone. A lot of them are such trailblazers. You know, what you said is Oprah Winfrey, you know, that's, you know, the case of her just blazing the trail and choosing not to be married to Stedman is like, wow. It's like that kind of self-ownership is truly admirable. But there are plenty of people go, well, why don't you just get married? It'll be nice because that's what we're all supposed to do. And it's like, no, I'm going to break the box. I'm going to break open the box or the compartments that all of you assign me to. So this is what I aspire to be, and that's probably an undiscovered journey for herself, as well as Dolly Parton, as well as folks who don't have children. And you know, for Kelly, you know, to see her blaze the trail all on her own, whereas I have the blessing to be with, you know, to be associated with Ming Na Wen and Lauren Tom and Rosalind Chow, and they each have 2 grown children, and it's like, how they can still do it is like, bah, it's amazing. So I'm somewhere in that middle between Kelly and the 3 Joylette Club girls, but it's an amazing, you know, and to see them as individuals as well is important, because the choices that they each made, that Kelly makes, that you make, May, are all admirable. And if we just all take the time to listen to those stories and say, oh my God, praise you, goddess.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because that's why I wanted to do this IG Live. And I'm going to repost this, by the way, so other people can watch this. I will. There are times when I do feel invisible. I do. And I'm talking I'm somebody who's been in this business for a long time, right? But I do still feel somewhat invisible as an older, maturing Asian woman. And I just still see our culture, and I say that in general, still really focusing on youth. Importance
Mm-hmm.
graphic. And then, you know, in terms of even economically, right, financially, advertisers, you know, companies still try to focus on the younger generation rather than the silver economy. Have you guys heard? So silver economy is 50 and over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're boom. We have more money and disposable income than any other generation. And yet we have barely any coverage when it comes to narrative, stories, advertising. And so it's really this imbalance of what reality is versus what advertisers and media are trying to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is interesting.
well, let me read you something that I found. Of course, I did my research. 50 plus women make up 40 million of the US population, and their purchasing power is 15 trillion. But when you look at the beauty industry, they are largely invisible. And if they are advertised to, it's a series of stereotypes or tropes. This is according to a senior brand director at P&G. The reality is at 50, she's in the prime of her life. She's at the crux of her career, is done with the BS of her 20s and 30s, and she knows exactly who she is. And yet these people are not being catered to, recognized, and, you know, featured in advertising whatsoever. So it's something, there needs to be a paradigm shift in how we're looked upon. Right? Yeah, because we have influence. We have a lot
I mean, clearly we're spending money.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they cater to us and our wallets? I mean,
yeah,
that is, and in the beauty industry, especially, I think they're sort of doing this thing where they're sort of skipping over. There's like May Musk, for instance, who's in all of these ads now as like, you know, the older, more beautiful woman. But she's like, what, in her 70s?
Yeah.
They're sort of doing this thing where they're, you know, they've got like women in their 30s and maybe even 40s, but then they're sort of skipping over the women in their 50s and going into 70s until this. So there's like that sort of gap, right, of women that they're not catering to.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, listen, I don't know if you guys are in favor of me using this example, but because it's, you know, it's divisive to a certain extent, but the reboot of Sex and the City, right? And just like, now they're cover that topic actually of the women who are now in their 50s, right? So Sarah Jessica Parker and, you know, the whole gang, they're in their 50s and they're talking about these issues that affect us. And Sarah Jessica Parker actually got some flack from, you know, fans when she was photographed with her hair pulled back and she had gray, you know, streaks. And they're like, oh my God, she's going,
Oh, wow.
She's so brave for going gray. And SJP, I'll give her credit. She actually spoke out and said, please don't call me brave. Please use that term for someone who really deserves it because they're brave. She's like, brave. I'm just getting older.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you're right, Kelly. I think this demographic of vibrant, you know, still energetic, you know, women, we need to sort of be focused on a little bit more and talked about, and we need to talk about it. Certainly.
Yeah.
Maybe also because we're kind of a new thing, right? When we were young, women in their 50s kind of seemed a lot older than we're acting.
Yes.
You know, I'm actually preparing to go to Burning Man on Saturday.
Oh, that's
and
right.
like people are like, I tell
Oh my
people that
God.
and they're like,
What?
oh, I can see it in their face. They're
It's
like,
like-
aren't you too old to be going to Burning Man?
Yeah. Are you?
And, or I've had my friends who are, you know, they're not afraid to you know, speak in such, you know, blatant manners to me. And they're like, how old are people at Burning Man? And I'm like, they're in their 80s.
There's so
like
many.
80
There's
years old.
so many. Yeah. There's
But
so many.
like, people think that your life suddenly has to stop when you're in your 50s and you're not allowed to do anything fun or sexy or reckless, you know, that you're like calm and like, you know, it's just, that is not true.
Exactly. And that's the stereotype we need to start chipping away at, right?
Yeah. And
I am not going to be walking around with my ass hanging out. I can tell you that.
I know.
Except for those very special people.
Yeah.
Except for those very special people.
There are no special people at the moment.
No. But again, it's a re-examination of who those persons are in advertising and marketing, because they're usually the energetic younger folks who have those new ideas, those new kind of strategies.
True.
And it's like, it's time to look at those advertising persons, marketing persons, PR persons, to re-examine what it means to be alive 50, 60 now, and to market that, because we're seeing a few of those commercials where it's the older generation dissing the young generation. It goes, you ain't all that, this is what I got. So it's just a shift. It's a transitory period that, you know, especially because of COVID too, it's like we're re-examining our value. And as we're out there and we're coming back out, you know, with safely and securely and with other folks, it's like, oh my God, you look fucking awesome. It's like, yeah, thank you very much. And there are those who say, nah, maybe you should color your hair. Go, thank you for the thought. But, you know, to be, you know, self-assured enough to say, thanks for the thought, but no thanks, because I don't need to do that no more. I don't need to please you anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to fit in what your perceived image of me is anymore. And that's liberating. And I think for women who choose not to wear makeup, Alicia Keys, you know, for persons who do choose to do plastic surgery, it's like, that's a whole other issue, because if it makes them feel good and confident in themselves and how they are perceived in the public eye, and even if they're not a public personality, it makes them feel good. So not to diss anybody's choices, just to see, it's like, oh wow, you look great and you feel great too, because I can feel that energy coming from you. So that's what we need to, you know, really re-examine, and to say, you know, and hold up the accolades. It's like there's no fitting in boxes anymore, because the playroom of boxes is multiversed now. It's so varied. It's so varietal.
There's still some work that needs to be done in terms of dismantling those boxes, right?
Yep.
We're going to say something, I think, or were you just agreeing with Tamlyn?
No, I was noticing that not only are we women who don't color our hair, but we're also women who don't do manicures.
Oh.
But who has the time?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, I got manicures. Sorry, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't do manicures because why? They chip so fast. I can't deal with it. I can't.
Because you're actually doing shit.
Exactly.
Because you're doing shit with your hands.
Exactly.
Housework and dishes and gardening and, you know, picking up dog poop. I mean,
yeah, I'll go.
Seriously.
I'll go with that story. But no, I can't deal with it. That's hilarious that you just noticed that. I get pedicures once in a blue moon, but I don't do manicures. So.
Me neither. Only for like red carpet if I have to.
That's exactly what yes, only for red carpet. But
yeah.
Well, okay, so we can wrap this up. Well, I mean, I could talk to you guys forever. So, but I'm curious now that we've had this discussion about, you know, going gray, and like still the fact that there is this push back on this idea of embracing your natural beauty and aging. What do you think? What kind of message would you like to give people about your choices, but also about, you know, women who are, you know, mature like we are? I mean, what do you think people need to really know and get them over this hump?
I would love younger women to know that aging is so fun. I mean, and you should do it on your own terms and not let what other people think, you know, put you, you know, in this prison. I feel like once you just let go of all of that, once you let go of what other people think, the world is yours, and you can find so much more happiness in life.
Yeah. I absolutely echo that. And it's about the truth of the matter is, I don't think we're saying anything really new. It's about just constantly reaffirming the choices and the range that us women have. It's like we could go natural and we feel confident in it. It's like we are literally born this way. So we should be able to be thankful and grateful that we look this way, we feel good the way we look, and we have such an infinite amount of choices to beautify ourselves by doing the manicures, by coloring our hair, by changing our clothes, by putting on jewelry, by, you know, the act of makeup. It's the ritual of makeup. It's the ceremony. It's like belonging to the sisterhood and actually the fellowship of makeup. It's like there's so many males and non-binary people who embrace the beautification of makeup. But that's not this is just something I choose for this hour, this occasion, this red carpet event. You know, if I'm going on a date or, you know, just going out in public, it's like, that is my choice. And this is how I choose to present ourselves. It's myself. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's like the idea of the vastness and the richness and the spectrum of what it means to be beautiful is dependent on how we feel inside, and how we look is a re-examination. It's like, I love my gray hair because I look like my mom. I look like my sister Kelly. I look like my sister May, and she looks fucking fantastic. It's like, I look like so many other women. I just heard the name Andy McDowell, and I go, oh wow, she went gray too. Lisa LaFlamme, Kelly and I, when we go to work in Canada, she's the anchor of Canada. And then when I saw that article in The Guardian, it's like, oh, wow. So again, it's that idea that to remain confident is always an evolving. It's always evolving for us, not only as women, for males too, but because we were subjected to this beauty standard. It's like, no, this is my standard. It's like, I could go makeupless for a day, and I could go full on lashes and hair done, blah, 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 at the end of it. Yeah. No, absolutely. But I think what we need to really stress, especially to younger girls and women, because see this mental health crisis that is spurned by the social media and the images that are false, and, you know, what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to act, and how you're supposed to be. So we need to help in that. And that's why I did this. We need to help redefine and break open those very narrow definitions of beauty and youth, and what woman and female and all of this stuff has been defined by whom over the age? Mostly by men, right? They think beauty should be. And so in the definition, and you know, corporate America has done that, of course, and media. So we need to have these discussions and be bold. Okay, brave, I say but okay, call us brave. I don't fucking care what you call it. You know what? We're just honest. We're just honest and authentic. And that's what's missing right now, is the authenticity of people and stories and being who you truly are from the inside out, right? That's what I want to keep doing with these kinds of discussions, to like show visually, hey, look at these three women, right? We're all doing fine. We're great. We're energetic. We're going great. We're proud of it. And we don't fucking care what you think, you know? So that kind of attitude is going to empower so many people, especially younger women and girls. For sure. But also, again, let's not forget the older women who never got a chance. You know, that's a poignant thought too. It's like for women who never felt beautiful because they had to go through the ritual of, you know, whatever it may be to make them look appropriate, look, you know, abide by the standard. It's like for them to find their own personal, unique, and rare beauty is an empowering act itself. And to give that thought to any person who's out there listening, it's like, you're special and precious. It's like, give yourself the time to discover that gift of yourself to yourself.
Oh, okay. That just like
that hit home. Oh my God, I'm almost crying.
Asians especially, we're like, oh, our elders,
I know.
Our elders, oh my gosh.
Oh my two are just like, I love you so much, and I'm so happy we were able to do this. And I have a big idea, which I'm going to share with you privately. But so
I cannot wait. I'm going to tell everybody.
Yeah, this is this is good, and I think it can only get better. So, thank you so much for sharing and joining.
Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah. Tamlyn, thank you for hopping on like 2 minutes before we were.
And it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if my phone is charged, and I had to get the light. It was like, because the sun is setting, and I go, oh, it's like, oh, but thank you for having me, and thank you for being on the forefront. And Kelly, it's always a love, a love fest to be with you and to share with you our, entwined histories. It's a great time to be alive right now, and to keep pushing progress forward. And these kinds of discussions, open up minds and open up hearts and open up thoughts that we all need to share and grow together with. It's fantastic.
You're so eloquent. I can't say anything better than that.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. Oh my God. You know your power, and you have it, and you wield it beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you for all both of you have done and continue to do. You guys are powerful women that are exemplify exactly what people need to look at and try to, use you as role models, because yes, this is the only way the progress is going to be made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.